wires. So I think she will guide you well in this higher education in abroad. So this is just a brief introduction. I know she will give you more about herself. So I will now request HOD ma'am to say a few words. Over to you, madam.
Okay. Good morning, all. My dear faculty colleagues and dear students. Yes, today we are having with us Miss Pallavi Sardi, uh, who is our department alumni, pass out from year 2015, and she is going to pursue her masters from University of Maryland College Park in telecommunication engineering from maybe in August 2020 21. She will tell in detail about that. So, first of all, I would like to congratulate her for her journey in higher education that she has achieved through her efforts. She is always in touch with us and our faculty members. And during one of her talk with her, that I just share with her that why, if you share your experiences, whatever the preparation needed for higher education, what difficulties you have faced, so that our students get benefited for that. Generally, what we observe that normally you students are having, also parents also having some doubts regarding higher education abroad. That is generally thinking that it is not possible for us or it is not in our reach. जैसे ये हमारी बस की बात नहीं है, हायर एजुकेशन अब्रॉड ये हमारी बस की बात नहीं है. There are number of factors and reasons for that. First reason is that we are not aware that what exactly we have to do. That is studying for abroad, what preparation is needed, then how to start, then what are various exams, how to prepare for the exams, then what type of consultancy we need, and one important factor is financial requirements. That is, the fees maybe stay there and so on. Okay, so all the time we may not get the exact guidance, and though we are means you students are capable of that, the things will not get executed. So definitely, I think whatever the experiences that Pallavi has during her journey towards this admission in masters, so that will help you and guide you that to think that yes, we can also go for higher studies abroad. So without wasting much time, I will request Pallavi to continue the session. So thank you.
Okay, ma'am, I will stop my presentation.
Yes, sir.
Uh, if she want to present some PPTs or she can start. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so thank you so much, Sawan sir, and thank you so much, Chagule ma'am. Good morning to everyone, and I hope you all are doing fine. So, I would first like to start by thanking Chagule ma'am and Giri sir for their support throughout my application. You have been great support. So, thank you so much. And before starting with my presentation, I would first introduce myself a little briefly. So my name is Pallavi Sarvi, and I am native of Ratnagiri. I've done my undergrad from electronics and telecommunication in the year 2015. And after that, I've been working for Vodafone for a couple of years and then for Parallel Wireless. So in total, I have almost 6 years of experience in telecommunications itself. And now I'll be pursuing my master's in telecommunications engineering from University of Maryland College Park. So this is brief about my introduction, and any questions I would be taking at the end of my presentation. So just feel free to ask me any questions if you have. So I'll start with my presentation. I hope my screen is visible to you all.
Yes, it is visible. Continue.
Okay, thank you. So what I'll be covering in this is my own experience, how you should plan yourself, how you should execute the resources which I use throughout this process. And at the end, we'll be taking questions from you people, like if you have any specific questions or you want to understand more about it. we would definitely discuss in detail at the end. So to start with my own experience, I would tell you students, it's a years of experience. Like I took almost 1.5 years from the preparation itself to my execution. So I can say that I started my journey in the year January 2020, and by the end of, I can say now by June, I'll be through my process and I'll be flying in the month of August for my master's degree. So how did I start and what exactly did I do? Is first I decided the country that I want to go with and the course. Now, when you decide country, there are a few things that you have to consider, which we'll be discussing it later. So I'll just brief my experience first. So I decided my country that I'll be going to US. Then I decided telecommunications engineering for the course. Then roughly during that, I targeted one ambitious university that I want to go in this particular university. So when you select an ambitious university, what happens is you start preparing yourself throughout this process. Now it is 1 year, 1.5 years of preparation going on throughout this process. So it's always good you have something as your target before starting. Okay. And with this, I started my preparation around February 2020, gave my GRE, gave my TOEFL. First, I cleared all my entrance exams when I started. And during this process as well, when I was giving my exams, like GRE, I shortlisted my universities according to my profile. Now, what is exactly profile? What I say, what you have to work on profile, will be considering all these factors, like how profile is evaluated in different universities. We'll be discussing it more later. After shortlisting the universities, I started to apply. I received decisions by mid-March, you can say March 21. So you see, I started in January and things were like pretty clear by March. So it's a complete almost 1 year of preparation going on here. After that, I accepted my admit. I got University of Maryland, which yes was the target university which I was looking forward with. And after my admit, I did another processes like managing finances, getting through the documentation process. So we'll get in detail about all these things in the further slides. And after all this, I got my FN visa approved that yes, I'll be flying to US. Like your approval for FN visa is the end, like that shows that yes, you'll be flying to US. So after my FN visa, I booked my flights. I started searching for housing right on College Park. I'm getting done with some university procedures in the meantime. There are a lot of things that you have to do before you go to your classes or before you go to US basically. So this is all about my journey. And now we'll start with actual executions, like how you plan, how you execute. Okay, so when I said you have to decide which country, you have to decide which term, which course, and one ambitious university. So why you need to understand this? Because for every other university, there are different processes. Now, I am well versed with USA, so I'll be guiding you more about USA. But apart from USA, you have a lot of countries. Like you can offer Australia, you can offer Ireland. It depends upon the course you're selecting and the course which is quite known in particular industries. Like I can say MIS, which is Management and Information System. So this course, US is always well known for this course, but also Ireland. So you have to understand which course you're precisely looking for and then select the country that is best fit for your course. Okay, so I started my research right in which country. Now I decided that yes, course I'll be doing in telecom industry. Now since my undergrad is from electronics and telecommunication, my years of experience is in telecom. So my interest was right in telecom. So I was pretty clear about my course that yes, I'll be doing telecommunications engineering. So after that course selection, I made sure I select the right country for my course. So when you select country for your course, you have to understand first the career prospects. See, now when you graduate after your master's degree, you have to understand that how good the opportunities I'll be getting. Okay, so if I complete my master's from US, are the US companies, or you can say the environment, good fit for my industrial applications? Will it have a good industrial approach throughout after my master's degree? Will I get good opportunities after my master's? So career prospects should be the topmost priority for you when you select your country. If you're interested in getting industry experiences, but if you're into research, also you should understand how good that university or how good is that country for your research you're looking forward with. Secondly, the quality of study. Now, US has been very good about the quality of educations that they offer. But apart from US, you have Australia, you have Ireland, you have New Zealand, you have Canada as well. So these are pretty great countries when you look forward with your master's degree, and definitely India as well. But it depends on the thing, like it depends like what exactly you're looking forward with your master's degree. So after quality of study, you have to consider a most vital factor is affordability, like how good you could finance yourself. I definitely know that we have a lot of loans, education loans right now, and since study abroad has been little easily accessible for us after years, so you have to understand like how good your family could back you up, how good can you get education loan. Because see, even though when you say education loan, there is a lot of process behind all these things. For example, I can say few standardized bank, they offer only 20 lakhs of loan, and 20 lakh, I can say for a country like US is not that enough. So you have to understand all these factors, like how parents can like finance you, how you yourself could finance yourself, or maybe like working for a couple of years and then going for this particular courses, or maybe going for masters. So all these factors, they should be considered when you select your country. The fourth thing you have to consider is scholarships. So scholarships, they take a huge role. If you're offered a good amount of scholarship throughout your education of 2 years, it will be a great deal for you. Like then affordability then maybe is possible, even though it might feel for you a little costly. But if you have scholarships, it is very good. And the last process here is visa. How good the success rate for your F1 visa. Now you'll be going as an F1 visa for US, you can say that is a student visa. So you have to understand like how good the student visa acceptance is in the country. You have to consider all these factors. Now, when you say even you've been thorough with everything, if you're not been approved your visa, you won't be able to fly to that particular country. So visa also holds quite vital during this process, not only academics and etc., but also your visa. So after you select your country, depending on all these factors and the course that you want to look forward with. Now see, courses I can suggest you that since I'm like you are from electronics and telecommunications background, you have telecommunications itself. But what happens in telecom, it is quite a very specified course. But apart from that, you have electrical electronics courses, and do not hesitate if you are interested in something else. For example, I've seen my seniors going into computer science courses if their interest lies in that. So see, you have to understand which course you want to go with or what interest you're aligned with. At times it happens that electronics and telecom are quite interested in programming, scripting, etc. So you should not hesitate to go with computer science. But yeah, I will warn you that you'll be having some hardships going through this convincing your visa officer or your university that why I want to go to CS and etc. But yeah, you have to research all those things and before applying, and then only proceed yourself. Then you have MIS. Now MIS is a course wherein it's management information system. So what students, like I've seen students from last year, like they've graduated in this year and they'll be going to fall 21, like in the month of August. So although this says it's a management course, it's not exactly necessary that you have to have experience for this course. If you are aligned properly throughout the courses that they offer, and if you convince them that yes, I'll be able to pull myself throughout, this MIS course, you're good fit for them. I've seen people going not without any prior experience for MIS course. Then you also have robotics course, human interaction courses. So all the courses that are available in a particular university, you'll understand more deep when you decide which country, and then afterwards which university you're targeting or which course. Now first you have to decide which course, and then accordingly the universities, the best universities that are offering these courses. And after that you'll be targeting the terms. Now why did I say terms is US usually offers you 3 terms, that are spring, fall and summer. Now when I say terms, that means you're admitted to different months. Now spring, they start in the month of January. Fall, they start in the month of August. So now I am a fall student, so I'll be going in the month of fall. And summer, they start in the month of May. So this is how you have to concentrate. Now every semester or every term, you can say, have pros and cons. So depending upon the pros and cons, you can decide. So if you ask my suggestion, I'll preferably say fall, because it comes with your summer internships and a lot of many things apart from just having a good, you can say, climate and etc. There are a lot of things when you consider a particular term. And finally, you select the dream university. So dream university, starting this quite before is why important, so that it guides you throughout this process. You know what you want to go for, and then you prepare yourself. You just don't lag behind during this particular process. Now since it's a very rigorous process, it's a year process, you have to understand you cannot loosen up your speed or maybe your pace during all this process. And so your dream university should always be the target beforehand. Okay, so this was all about like before proceeding with anything. And now I know the audience here is third year students and last year students. So what I suggest to last year students is, although you have done with everything, you could still start your process, like doing all these things, briefing yourself, like which country, which course and etc. And I can suggest you people is get a year of experience and then proceed with your masters. So what you'll have is you'll have a good experience in your hand, and also you'll have couple of time before going. Now fourth year students won't be able to actually fly this year, but the target should be spring, but I can say spring is quite early for you, so plan fall 22 for you. Now third year students, you are in great you're in right picture now, you can say. So you have, maybe you can, what you can do is start your preparation now, and then probably fall 22 you can fly without any experience. That will be a great deal. So third year students right now are moving ahead in this preparation process, but I'll suggest, if you guys get a chance to get industry experience before getting your master's degree, I think, I personally feel that will be a great deal. I'll tell you why your experience counts before your master's degree is, you know what industry looks like and what are exactly your interest lies in. So when you work in industry, you understand a lot of things. Like, see, your academics is something which will give you a foundation to work on the industry oriented approaches that you take in your industries. Okay, the opportunities that you'll get after your academics, you can say after your undergrad. So I think taking work experience, working couple of years, not years as well, a year or two maybe in the industries, and then going for master's degree helps. And this helps in case of US universities, because the coursework that they actually design is taking more industry applications. Like, they are more industry oriented approaches, they have more focus on the practical applications so far. So I suggest you people, third year and fourth year students, to look forward in that direction. But I will not say compulsory go for it. If you are looking forward to go for your master's degree right after your graduation, you're just free to go. Okay, so now after all these things, you have to consider the entrance exams. Now when you plan US, you'll be having couple of exams to give. Now the first exam is GRE. So for US, GRE is must, but for other industry, for other countries like Canada, Ireland, maybe you will have some different, or maybe even specific to university as well. I'm not sure about the other countries, but I can guide you through all for the US universities. Now, GRE is the most important exam. Now, due to pandemic, this year universities give you waive off to your GRE scores. You're not supposed to submit your GRE scores, but this might not happen definitely after fall 22. You're supposed to give your GRE, get good scores in your GRE exams. So my personal experience in GRE score is like I scored 308, which is not a very good score. It's a fine score, but I was juggling with my work experience. Like I was working and I was doing that. But I'll tell you that giving GRE is not that huge deal if you study very diligently for a month. Like I can say for 3 months, even if you work 3 months on your GRE preparation, you might definitely get 310 or 315 plus. So if you ask me what is a good score in GRE, I'll say 315 plus or maybe 320 plus. The good the score is, the best chance you stand in getting a good university. So I'll just brief you a little about what is GRE. Now in GRE, what you are evaluated on is you'll be having a verbal section, you'll be having a quantitative section, and you'll be having AWA. Now, verbal section, it is 170. You'll be scored by 170, and your base 130. You'll definitely score even if you do not write anything. So the total GRE score is 340. So even if you leave your paper completely blank, you're supposed to get 260. Okay, so why this 260 is because you're sound enough, like you had prior education, like you know English and etc. And so your base mark is 260. On the score of 260, no one is going to entertain. So definitely you have to target 315 plus in GRE. Even if you feel that you have to just score 40 and 50 marks, it's not an easy to score even 40 and 50 because this GRE is like ETS actually organizes GRE. So these exams are considered accordingly for complete world population. So it is not just the Indians that are going to give GRE, but the total world population as well. The US people, US citizens might give GRE exams for them to stand in the university applications. So you have to understand you're competing everybody here. So, and that is the reason it has been considered, like it has been organized properly. So even if you say verbal, it is not an easy verbal to do. And since we being Indians, and I know that not everybody must have studied through a convent education or might have got an English background throughout your, you can say, standard one. So definitely it is tough. Always understand what are your weak points before studying for GRE. Quant, I can say it is pretty doable since we Indians are quite good in mathematics. So for you, it might feel easy. And also the syllabus is quite easy. Like for you, I can say GATE. I think last year people might have given their GATE exams. So yeah, so that is quite tough. You know, our Indian exams are quite tough. They judge you on all respects. But this entrance exam, they might feel a little easy compared to the Indian exams that we give. But also to understand, these are costly exams. When I say GRE, it costs 15,000 for one GRE. TOEFL, you'll be costing around 13,000. So these are costly affairs. So when you're studying for this, make sure you give one attempt. Okay, so now verbal, quant, and AWA. Now, when I say AWA, you'll be writing 2 essays. Okay, so you can understand more about this exam from, like, you'll understand like on the ETS website, which actually organizes this GRE. So all about this. And secondly, when you say GRE, you have to prepare 3 months preparation is fine for GRE, but don't take it lightly. Make sure you give a serious thought for 3 months of preparation. And after a decent score, I can say you're through with one process. Then TOEFL and IELTS are proficiency exams. When I say proficiency exam is how good you speak English, how good you write English, how good you listen English, and how good you write, read, speak. Okay, so this TOEFL and IELTS is all about this. So even if you feel that these are some simple English exams, they're not simple English exams. They're pretty tough, and you should or at least for TOEFL, I can say more than 95 plus is a pretty good score for you to get a good university. And IELTS, they have bands. So I guess the bands include from, I guess, 5 band. I'm not sure about IELTS. I did not give IELTS, but you'll have information about IELTS on Google, you can see, or the internet. I guess Pearson, I guess they organize IELTS. TOEFL and GRE, ETS organizes these two exams. So on the ETS website, you'll get all the information. And if you ask me about resources, how you prepared, you have ton of resources. What you could do is go to Google, make sure you have, like, you can just write GRE materials for preparation. You'll get couple of links, couple of PDFs, couple of Google Drives. And if not, you could join coaching. Now, I know in Ratnagiri, we do not have any coaching for GRE TOEFL, but since in this pandemic, all these things are being done remotely. So you still have good chance. You don't have to go to Pune or Mumbai for all these courses, or maybe Kolhapur. I'm not sure if Kolhapur still has GRE TOEFL course, TOEFL preparation classes, but you can still go for it. I will not say do not go for it. If you think that you need some coaching, you can definitely opt for. And apart from that, you also have a lot of exams giving you a brief about this, like how exactly is your exam, like mock exams, you can say. So you have a lot of publications doing that, like Manhattan, then I can say Pearson. I guess Pearson, they also give you, and a lot of actually companies, they give you. But yeah, this is a costly affair. Like when you're going for this exams as well, they charge you around, I guess, 4 to 5 thousand for the mock exams, you can say. So, but those exams are pretty good for you to get a hang of all these exams. So GRE, TOEFL, IELTS, if you at all have any questions, we'll take it at the end of our session. So just mark your questions and we can discuss it further apart, like if I have not covered any of these, like your queries in the entrance exams. And yeah, GRE, you can give 365 days, like you do not have any specific date to give GRE. Like suppose if you start your preparation in the month of January, if you're prepared, you can give in the month of March, April, starting from that. Okay, so now if you're targeting fall semester, what happens in fall semester is your application start from November for the next year. Now suppose, like for my case, I can say fall 21 was my target, so I have to apply from November. Now for various universities, the deadlines are quite various. Like if your university starts your application from November, they might have December end as their deadlines. What I mean by deadlines is, by the end of December, you should be done with your application. After December, you cannot apply for the particular universities you're targeting. So do know that what are the deadlines for the university that you're looking forward with. So maybe you can say if your November is your application start, maybe by March also, or maybe by January, they have their deadlines going on. Some have rolling, that they have rolling in the sense is they have throughout the year they receive applications throughout the year. So if your target is fall, and like I said, my target was fall 21, so I started applying by November 20. So what I did was I completed my GRE and TOEFL by July itself. Okay, so I had a couple of time after that as well, if at all. See, now this GRE score is valid for 5 years and your TOEFL score is valid for 2 years. So GRE, if you feel that you didn't go with a good attempt, or maybe your score is not that good, probably you can give again. I guess it's a 21 days of gap that you have to consider before you give your next exam. So this is all. There is no limitation to how much GRE takes you give. But yeah, you'll definitely have limitations because this is going to cost you more and more money if you give number of attempts. And I don't think you should give a lot of attempts in just clearing your GRE. A good score of 315 or 320 is good. And see, I'll tell you, I'll be very honest here. Getting 300, 305 is pretty fine. Like if you prepare really well, you can definitely stand getting 300 or maybe 305. But yeah, you have to give a serious effort in preparing yourself. Maybe 280, 285 also people get even after preparing so hard, or maybe there are people who don't prepare a lot and get 320 plus. So it depends upon how good are you with your basics, or you can say foundation about all those things. So nothing to worry about. Just do your research before going for GRE. Like understand exactly what is GRE, what are the things that you have to consider before. There are a lot of YouTube videos, you can say, because YouTube has helped me a lot throughout my process. So there are YouTube, you can even ask me what was my experience specifically if you are interested in knowing my experience, etc. So I'll definitely guide you. And there are a lot of material on internet as well for all this GRE, TOEFL, or the entrance exams, I can say specifically. There are Facebook pages, you can say. So when you start with the research, you'll understand like how next I have to go with. So do not hesitate to research yourself before going through all these entrance exams. Okay. Now, when you're thorough, like when you're done with your entrance exams, the most crucial part about your application is your profile. How good you stand among all the applications. Okay. Now, since I say when you plan to study abroad, you'll be having cultural diversity. Like not only the Indian students will be applying, but Chinese people, then Pakistanis, the Afghanis, a lot of people, Korean people, so a lot of people will be applying throughout the universities, but the most crunch is Indian students. So now since what happens is study abroad has been easy accessible, like you have a lot of information. Since a lot of people are going abroad, we have pretty good knowledge about all these things. So Indian students are not lagging behind in all these respects now. So when I say profile, what exactly is a profile? So when universities evaluate, what is considered is your profile. So in your profile, what stands is your GRE TOEFL scores, your academics, your SOP. Now when I say SOP is statement of purpose. LOR is letter of recommendations, your projects, your research papers. Like if you have IEEE format papers, or if you have published particular papers throughout this, before starting your application, if you are working on a certain paper, make sure you research it and you publish that paper. It means a lot in your profile. Like it shows that how good you have been building your profile. See, building a profile is in back end. Like your professors will evaluate on good, like how good you have built yourself throughout this, like how passionate you are about your master's program. So your research papers, I can say that I did not work on research papers. I was mostly interested in industry oriented, like industry applications. But that is what as I can say I should have worked on beforehand. Yeah, I did not know much about all these things, but it's okay. You people are quite ahead of all these things, and you could work on your research papers if you're working on any. Then your extra and co-curriculars, your work experience definitely, and community services. Now we'll go in detail about building your profile. So your GRE TOEFL scores, as I said, they take a lot of crunch. What I can say is your eligibility is based on your GRE and TOEFL scores. Now suppose you're targeting a university where you need, or you can say you must have 310 plus score. So there it comes. So you'll have to give your entrance exams, or you have to prepare yourself to at least get 310 plus score in this particular exams. Then TOEFL score, if at all your university requires a 105 score, or maybe a 95 plus score. So it is a huge part of your profile. You can say this is the eligibility of your profile, or maybe your application, I can say. So that is the reason your GRE and TOEFL scores are quite important in this process. Secondly, academics. So when I say academics, your academics is important to understand that how good you were during your 4-year journey. Your 10th and 12th exam, like 10th and 12th scores are not that important, but yeah, that also matter, but not that, you can say, I can say not that much, because throughout my process, I've seen only academics of my undergrad, like my undergrad percentages and etc. were quite important, or That is what they're asking me. Okay, so pretty much a little about my background. I did not have any backlogs. I did not have any year drops. I was throughout my 4 years. So even if anyone here having backlogs or maybe having a year drop, you don't have to worry. I've seen a lot of students, or maybe I can say a lot of seniors, juniors, going with one or two maybe backlogs. So you need not worry. You just have to work on the other factors. Okay, so even if like on the scale of 10 in your academics, if you're around 6 or 7, you could still lift yourself by showing that yes, I worked on my academics totally. So that might have not given me a good picture on my academics, but overall or holistically, I'm a good candidate for your university. But third year students, you still have you people still have time, work on your academics. Do not take all the academics lightly. Work on your academics. Okay, so I can say CG now since you have CGPA, I had percentage. Now you people have CGPA. So what you can do is at least try to get 8 or more. You can say CGPA. Okay, so more than 8 or more than 9 is a very good CGPA. So your academics, it is also quite important. Now SOP. Now what is SOP? Like statement of purpose. Now statement of purpose is an essay about yourself. When I say essay about yourself is when you apply for universities, they judge you on your statement of purpose. You have to draft your statement of purpose very diligently, very smartly, and pretty apt. You don't have to write a lot of gibberish in that. You just have to write on point, like what is necessary for your statement of purpose. Okay, so now in statement of purpose, you can brief about like what exactly background you came from, some wordy words you can say. You can start like there are a lot of formats available online where you can understand what exactly your SOP should, like you need to understand what key points you should have in your statement of purpose. So what you can do is start with your a little background, like why did you go for electronics and telecommunications, or maybe why did you go with, maybe if you are looking for a CS background or computer science or maybe a management course. So you need to brief a little in your introduction. Okay, then you can go with your academics, like how good you were with your academics. Tell them about your projects, tell them about your extra co-curricular activities that you did during your undergrad, or you can say throughout your maybe 22 years of journey. But don't write every year journey, just brief them about it. uh, Write about the professors that university you're applying to, understand like how good the research is in the university. So all about is the statement of purpose. This is basically you presenting yourself to the university that this is me, and so I stand a chance to get an admit from your university. So the more you take efforts in writing your SOP, the more chance you have in getting an admit from a very good university. So you have to work a lot on your statement of purpose. So now suppose you're applying in the month of November, make sure you start your preparation of SOP right after your entrance exam. So now suppose if you are done with your entrance exam in the month of July, start working on your SOP right after that, so that by end of maybe you can say September or October, you'll have a very good final format. Ask your seniors about the SOP. Let them read your SOP. Maybe they'll guide you more about it. When I say ask your seniors, is one who had applied to your university, or maybe the friends or maybe your seniors who have been through with this particular country and quite know about all these things. Ask your professors about what you could add more on your SOPs and etc. They'll definitely guide you through all this process. And so even if you have any queries, you can ping me on my LinkedIn. I'll tell you my LinkedIn profile and etc. Even if you have any questions regarding your SOPs and etc., maybe I can give my own SOP in that case if you want to refer. But definitely make sure you don't copy paste. See, we students always have the impression that chalo yaar kar lete hain. Do not do that. This is your life and this is your career. So work on this very precisely, very diligently. Put efforts on when you write statement of purpose. Copy paste will just what, like, okay, you'll get through one step, but what after that? You'll have many hurdles, many challenges throughout this process, even after master's degree, during your master's degree. But if you're self-prepared, or maybe if you're independent enough to take up challenges, the process is easy. So do not copy paste. And see, professors know when you copy paste. It's a years of experience to know people, to know students, and they know what is copied and what is pasted, so do not actually copy and paste. Work on your own work. Okay, so this is how your SOP will be. The next crucial part is LOR. What is LOR? It is letter of recommendations. So now, as per university, it differs. So few universities might go for 3 academic LORs. Now, what are 3 academic LOR? Is your undergrad professors. You have to ask for recommendation from your undergrad professors, your engineering professors. Now you can select as per your like interest. Like suppose you are going for computer science, maybe what you can do is, although you are done your electronics and telecommunication, you can have one LOR from a computer science department professor. Okay, so you have to start working on that with your professor in that regards. But if you plan to do something in electronics or telecommunication, in this particular stream, your faculty or maybe your department will help you in getting you letter of recommendations. So talk to your professors, ask them if they could help you in getting LORs. And in my case, what happened is I had 2 academic LORs. I actually took academic LORs from Chagule ma'am and Giri sir, and I thank you very much for those LORs. And I took one LOR from my manager. So since I had work experience, I made this combination. But if you do not have any work experience, or even if you have any experience in terms of internships, if the people from internships are ready to give you LOR, you can ask them. But nothing to worry about. 3 academic LORs are very, very like good combination to go with your LORs. So this is all about LOR. Then projects. So you have projects in 3rd year, you also have projects in last year. So your projects, they take a huge, like you can say, you can mention that in your SOP, in statement of purpose, like how good your project was, or like how you were working on that particular project. So start researching about your projects. Now, final year students, you're done with your projects, it's okay, nothing to worry about. But 3rd year students, make sure you have very good topic for your project. Put efforts in your project while you're doing. Just we made, like I can say, we made mistakes, we didn't work on that back then, but yeah, I'll tell you, work on your projects, that will help you further. Okay, then research papers, as I said, if you're working on a particular paper, or if you want to publish a paper, definitely go for it, work on it, talk to your professors. I know our faculty is well equipped. They have a lot of research papers they must have worked on. So talk to your professors in that regards. If you do not have any knowledge, talk to them. Probably internet will help you in that regards. I personally do not have any research papers, but yes, this is something which afterwards I'll be working on. But 3rd year people and even 4th year people, you guys can work right now also on your research papers. Then your extra and co-curricular. See, all these things were quite academics, or maybe just studious part of things, like only your grades and etc. were important. But US universities will not judge you only on this. They'll judge you also on the extra and the co-curriculars. When I say extracurriculars, means like any dances, or maybe any certifications in terms of you can say extracurricular, like singing, dancing. Then something like if you have been white tracker or something like that, something like apart from your academics, you have been quite open to all those extracurricular activities. Now when I say co-curricular activities, is participating in your events. Okay, the events that take place in your undergrad, like for our department, we have tech spring, then brain waves, Then I can say Utopia. So see, Utopia will come under cultural activities, but yeah, definitely this will show that how good you could manage a team, how good sport you were during this. Yes, sports also matter a lot. Like if at all you were someone a state champion, etc. Oh my god, that is definitely going to add to your profile. So make sure to be a good sport, or you can say work on your profile in all angles. Not only should your academics be good. See, even if your academics is 7 or 8, if you have a pretty good extra and co-curriculars, that sums up and shows that you're blended well. Okay, so work on your extracurriculars, work on your co-curriculars, participate in a lot of presentations. Like you have technical paper presentations, you have quizzes and etc. Now you people will have more like it's been years after my passing out, so there'll be a lot of addition to all the extracurricular, co-curriculars, sports, dance, singing, and etc. This all add up to maybe a musical instrument or something like that. Certifications, like I had a Kathak trained, like I'm a Kathak trained person. So yeah, that helped me in my extracurriculars. So yes, you definitely can work on your extracurriculars, co-curriculars. So apart from this was right when you can work while you're in your third year, fourth year. Now, apart from that, community services. I'll talk about community services first, and then I'll go with your work experience. Now, when I say community services, how good you help community. Now, when you say community is, you can tie up yourself to some NGOs, try to work on, try to work with those people, try to educate people, like the less privileged people, you can say, make drives, do tree plantation. So I am sure in Ratnagiri we do have NGOs. Okay, so you could offer your services, I can say, in terms of community. See, you're understanding that not only your academics and not only your extra and co-curricular factors are amounting to your profile, but also community services. So you have been judged, or you can say you have been evaluated with all these respects. So make sure you have to, like, you make sure you work on all these aspects quite before, like third year and fourth year students. It's the right time to work on all these technicalities, or I can say about all this preparation for your master's degree. So good so far. Now we'll go with your work experiences. So third year students, fourth year students. And fourth year students, you have good opportunity to actually explore the technical industry, you can say. So your work experience also matter. Now suppose what happens in few people, like few seniors, few friends I've seen, they've completed their undergrad in electronics and telecommunication, but their alignment, or you can say their interest was in computer science, coding, scripting, or something like that. So what they did was they took a job, or maybe they wanted to have an experience, and so they worked on a particular industry for a year, maybe or two, and then they could switch their career into computer science. So what happens here is you have something to prove the people that why I drove to computer science is because work experience, my interest. Okay, and you can also say that why did I opt for electronics and telecommunication is electronics and telecommunication is not just about hardware, it's also about software. So you could also go in embedded part when you choose electronics and telecommunications. You could also go in software part, and also you could also go in telecommunications. So collectively this led you to this particular undergrad, and apart from that your work experience collectively. So all these factors are going to help you in getting a good admit. So this is how your profile looks like. So students, make sure you give thought to every aspect, or you can say every element present here. Work on all these things. Third year students, you have time to work on all these things. Fourth year students, nothing to worry about. You have your work experiences. You still can go for community services. You still have time to give GRE, TOEFL, get good scores. Although academics you cannot work on, but yeah, you can pour your heart on SOP, LORs. Okay, projects, research papers, research papers you definitely can work on, but extra and co-curricular, it's long gone now. Like you cannot work right now, but yeah, third year students, give it a thought, work on it, Okay, and apart from that, your work experience will definitely add to this particular profile. So you need not worry, do not hesitate even, like after giving you a lot of knowledge, you might feel that this is quite overwhelming, this is quite tricky, but when you start your process, you will understand this is okay, like I can do it. Start building your confidence that yes, this is easy and I can do this. When you start with this confidence, your process becomes easier. And see, it took me 1.5 years, so I had to keep 1.5 years of patience in all this process. So I think patience is virtue in all these regards. But if you try working on all these things, you'll definitely get through. See, University of Maryland, I'll tell you, is not an so-so university. It is a public university, and it you can say usnews.com is a site wherein they grade particular universities. So my College of Engineering, it stood 22nd. So like although with my background, I still could get a good admit. So what I did was I worked on my profile. Now I had a very good academics. I did not have any flaw in my academics. My GRE TOEFL scores were fine, not that good, but definitely fine. And maybe I can say this year they waived off GRE TOEFL scores. But since my work experience, my community service, my extra co-curriculars, although I didn't have any research papers, but my SOP LOR helped me get into a very good university. So if you build on all these things and you people have, like, you people know all about this beforehand, so you can start working on all these factors and probably get through a very good university. See, I will not suggest that go only to normal universities. I'll suggest you people to target very good universities. Maybe out of you, someone might go to MIT, Stanford, Harvard. See, even though this feels very illuminating or maybe glittery, if you work hard on your profile, you'll definitely get through these universities. But the thing you have to do is you have to research yourself throughout for your admits, you can say, or maybe your university. Okay, so this is how you actually plan. This is how you'll execute everything. Okay. I'll be continuing. Okay, so like how exactly you can start with these things. Okay, so when I say how to plan and how to execute, so now see, I'll go with timelines. Now if you are targeting a fall semester, now when I say fall semester, you will be flying there or you will be starting your course in the month of August. Now when you start your journey in the month of August, I can rewind you for a year or maybe 1.5 years. It depends. Like for me, I had to start with everything. Okay, giving GRE, giving my entrance exams and etc. So depending upon that thing, you can plan yourself. Now for third year students, what I can say you is, now this is the month of June. Okay, so now for you to get ready for your November applications, you have to give your GRE TOEFL. Okay, so what will happen is you cannot directly go for fall 22 because I don't think you'll be having enough time for your preparation for your GRE TOEFL. So what you can do is you can start your preparation right now. You can maybe start giving your GRE TOEFL by January, or maybe if your preparation is done by November, December as well. Okay, and see, I'll tell you that do not just make hasty decisions when you are deciding. Take time, analyze everything. Even after the year, like even if you do not go in fall 22, you can have fall 23 in your hand. And when I say fall 23, you'll be also having experience. So now see, what will happen is you'll start working on your profile quite before. So after your undergrad degree, like you'll be passing out in the May or maybe June, like in the month of June, next year June. Okay, so when you graduate, you'll also make sure that you'll have something in hand in terms of industry experiences. Okay, you'll work on it. Now I'll tell you, nowadays even getting job opportunities is not that difficult. You have a lot of platforms. Back then in our times, we didn't have a lot of opportunities. We had to rely on placements. We had to rely on particular certifications, particular courses to get some industry, you can say, experiences. But for you, it is not a big deal. You have a lot of opportunities. Like build your LinkedIn profile, start networking. There are a lot of you can say online platforms like Internshala, then you can say Udemy, Coursera, wherein you can actually brush up your technical knowledge. You don't have to get very costly courses done, but during this at your homes you can schedule, or maybe you can apply for those courses online, Udemy, Coursera, etc., and then probably start with your technical knowledge as well. So start getting a hang of what exactly industry. See, so when you're applying for your job opportunities and etc., you need to understand like which profile you're targeting. So beforehand, you have to research everything. Okay, so even if third year students are you cannot. I'll say you do not target fall 22. I'll say you should target fall 23, so that you'll have ample time to work on your profile. Okay, and when I say ample time for your profile is ample time for your GRE and TOEFL preparations. Okay, so maybe some might have heard about GRE TOEFL, and some people might now start with this process. So you can start with your GRE preparation, your TOEFL preparation, and by the month of January you can give. See, now your GRE is valid for 5 years. Okay, so you do not need to give again. If even if you give in the month of January, it's okay for you. Okay, then you can start with other process. Giving an entrance exam is the first thing you should do, because that releases a lot of pressure from you. So you can plan accordingly. First, target which semester, which fall you want to go with. Even if you want to go with fall 22, see, I will not recommend you people to go for fall 22, because you should start your preparation right now. Get done with your GRE TOEFL by maybe October, I can say, so that you can also start like you can be also done with your GRE TOEFL by the month of November itself. But then after that, you won't have a lot of time to prepare for the other things like SOP, LORs. It takes a lot of time. Okay, so extracurriculars, co-curriculars you can do, but doing it while you're studying and etc., and maybe it might feel overwhelming for you. You might get stressed out. So need not worry. Plan your studies, plan everything prior to it, and then decide when can be the best time for you to give your GRE TOEFL. So I'll give you a rough guideline for fall 23. Now, if third year or fourth year students are planning fall 23, what you can do is give your GRE TOEFL by November, December, or maybe January. You have a lot of time actually. So when you're done with your entrance exams, you can start discussing like which universities you want to go on. You can start working on your SOPs and etc. See, you'll be studying like I was working, you'll be studying in your case. So it is very difficult while studying, because you'll be having your exams. In my case, I didn't have any exams to give, only had my work to do, so that I could balance myself. But yeah, studying and work is not exactly the same, but yeah, it has the pros and cons that come with it. So since you'll be having your exams to give, your midterms, your sessionals and etc., so do plan accordingly. I'll not give you a if you come to me, if you give me brief about you, maybe I can tell you how could you plan, but generically I can say start by like give your GRE TOEFL first, and then you can start with the other process, because the other processes don't take a lot of time. But yeah, GRE TOEFL is the most crucial part, you can say, because it requires months of preparation for that. Okay, so give your entrance exams and etc., and after you give your exams, now if you're a fall student, if you're targeting fall, that is August semester, start your applications by I can say November, December. And when you start your applications by November, December, you'll be starting to receive your decisions by maybe January, February, March. So in my case, I was done with my applications by first week of December, and I started getting my decisions by the end of, I can say, I got one decision in just 20 days. So that university was a pretty safe university for me, and I knew that I will be getting this this decision. Like I'll be getting an admit from this particular university. So I got it in within 2 days, like 20 days. So it depends upon your application, and it depends how good the university is as well. And if you are a very valued student in that particular university, you'll be accepted very fast in that case. And sometimes few universities wait to all the applications and then start rolling out their decisions. So you'll roughly get your decisions by the month of March or maybe April. I won't say April, but if you start early by November, December, if you're done with all your application to your universities, you should start get your decisions by January, also in December, January, February, March. The least I can say is March. I don't think you'll get any decisions after March if you have started it early. So when you get your decisions, what I suggest, when you select universities, make sure to keep a combination of two safe universities to moderate universities. So when I say moderate universities, is depending upon your profile, it might seem a little difficult for you to get into that university. Okay, so you might have a chance or you might not have a chance. It depends upon the evaluators who are considering your application. Secondly, make sure to keep two ambitious universities. You have a fair chance to get into ambitious university. I definitely think, because according to my profile, I had 50-50 chance in getting University of Maryland, and so I took a chance. For me, it was an ambitious university, but still I took a chance. So no harm in taking chance with ambitious university. And also I'll suggest you to keep your universities very little, like very limited. Little in the sense limited. So make sure to target 6 universities. I suggest not to go beyond 6 universities, because this is a costly affair. So your every application will at least take $50. Now you say $50 is roughly around 5 to 6,000. So your every application will actually go with this. So less universities, less costly affair for you to take. And I'll tell you, this whole journey up to US, like apart from your tuition fees, like all this application processes, getting done with all the other parts and etc., you'll have at least 2 to 3 lakhs of expenses. So make sure you know all these things and plan accordingly. I'm yet to understand like how much I spent throughout this process. I'll be calculating. I have not yet calculated, but I'll tell you roughly 2 to 3 lakhs. Like, because what you'll say is you'll also include your flight tickets and etc., your application charges, then your GRE, TOEFL scores, like your exams and etc. So this almost takes 1 to 2 lakhs, you can say, for all this process. So choose wisely the universities you want to apply. You can also apply to only one university. If you're very clear that yes, this is the only university I want to go with, maybe that is the best. Because why, I'll tell you, when you apply to 6 universities, in my case I had applied to 6 universities, I received admit from 5 universities, and then I was in a dilemma in the sense I was confused to which university. Although UMCP, the University of Maryland, was the best choice for me, when you see every other course, every other university holistically, you know the pros and cons. So I selected University of Maryland because I was more interested in wireless, and the other courses that I was looking forward with didn't have much of a very good course, you can say, that what University of Maryland had. So you have to understand that less the universities, less are your like confusions to which university you have to go with. Okay, you'll definitely have a lot of questions to which university should I look forward with, or maybe which will be the best universities. You have a lot of resources. I'll talk about the resources in the end. You can do your researches based on those resources. So make sure to keep your universities limited. The less university, the less hassle to choose which is the best for you. Okay, so when you start your applications, when you are done with your applications to receive decisions, the next process is to get your I-20. Now I-20 is the most important document in your higher studies education, you can say. Okay, now what is an I-20? Now I-20 is a document wherein you'll have to show your expenses. Okay, so what happens here is your university will ask for the required amount to show in your bank accounts. So now in your case, what happens is I can give you a disclaimer. University of Maryland did not accept any loans. Okay, so even if you're planning for a loan, make sure to disburse that particular loan in your accounts, or make arrangements wherein you'll have enough funds in your savings account so that you could show them in your I-20. Now, for your I-20, you need to have you have to show a particular amount of funds or finances. For example, a few courses like telecommunication courses, you need to show 34 lakhs. Okay, this is a year of expense. Okay, so 34 lakhs you have to show in your savings account, and once you show enough funds in your savings account or maybe current account, you'll be given I-20. So this is the crucial document. This is where you'll be basing out your visa appointments and etc. Okay, so your I-20, it is a crucial thing that you'll be getting after the application. So that is the reason when you decide the country, when you decide the course, you have to consider your finances as well. You have to know how good your parents could support you, and how good amount of loan you'll be having, like when you approach. And see, University of Maryland do not accept loans. What you need is only liquid funds. So in that case, what you could do is get your loan process quite early, and after you're done with your loan process early, you can have that loan amount in your account itself. But yeah, you have to know that when you get the loan amount in your account, you also start incurring your interest. Okay, so make sure you plan these things. I know you're quite early, you're quite young, but it's your career, it's what you have to do for your own good. So start digging it, start talking to your parents, get the consultation from them, talk to them. Maybe they'll talk to your, they'll talk to the talk to their friends who are working in banks and etc., guide you through all this process. Okay, so this is how it will work. So when you get your I-20, which is the most crucial document of your process, you have to book your visa. So while you book your visa appointments, what you do is there are particular sites, US Travel Docs and etc. So on US Travel Docs, you have to create your account. Once you create your account, you have to pay fee around $160. So $160 is almost equivalent to, I can say, 12,000. So you have to pay 12,000 for your visa appointment, and before that you have to pay CIVICE fees. Now CIVICE fee is $350, which is roughly around 26,000. So all this process is quite a costly affair. But make sure you talk to your parents beforehand, discuss all these things, and then proceed with. Because halfway around, if you think you're having challenges with your finances, you might feel of living off this dream of getting a master's degree from abroad. You'll hold this thing. Do not hold this. Everything can be worked out. In any crucial case, talk to your seniors. Maybe talk to, like, you can come to me as well. I can guide you so far. However I can help you, I can help you guys. But do not stop. Once you know that I have to go through it, everything works out well. Just keep confidence, keep patience, and everything works well. So that is the reason, if you plan it quite early, you know things early, and then you can plan accordingly. Even if you have to work for a year or two, just to make sure that you don't burden your family, in that case you're good to go. That is definitely not harmful, because your work experience is definitely going to add to your profile. Okay, so with all this, so after that you have to book your visa, pay all the due charges to it. Now you have 5 embassies in India, like Mumbai, Delhi, Chennai, Kolkata. Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, Chennai, and I guess no, there are 4. Okay, Kolkata, Chennai, Hyderabad. Okay, so yeah, you have 5 embassies here. So you can book appointment to any city you want. I would suggest you to book for Mumbai. Not only is Mumbai close to you, but you have good success rate in terms of your F1 visas. So make sure to book your appointment there and start preparing for your interview. You will have a lot of questions there. You might be grilled. So don't consider visa, like, see, even after getting admit from a very good university, there is fair chance that you might be rejected for a visa. So make sure you prepare for your visa interview as well. I prepared for maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, but since I knew about all these things, simultaneously I was preparing for it. Okay, so I can say roughly for a week or two, make sure to take mock interviews when you prepare for a visa interviews. So there are a lot of questions. You can get PDFs for a lot of questions, like what questions do they ask in your visa. I'll roughly give you my own experience, what I was asking, etc. Now, since I had a couple of years of experience, I knew what questions they would draft me. You should also know that what exactly questions they might ask you. So what they started with me was, they asked me why am I going to US. Then when with undergrad degree I completed my undergrad degree. Then after my undergrad degree, they asked me which year did I pass out. After my degree, they asked me like what I've been doing after my degree. So I told them about my work experience, and after my work experience, they asked me about admits, like how many universities did I apply to. So the less the universities, the less hassle for you, because the more universities you apply, maybe they might even grill you on that. Why did you apply to so many universities and etc. Okay, so make sure to keep your universities. Although you have to say the to the interview that you applied to so many universities, but it's always preferable that you say the truth, although they do not know how many universities you have applied. But the truth speaks more, because it shows that how confident you are. So do not lie anywhere at that point. Be very truthful about your interview, and be confident when you give your interview. Okay, so they asked me about my undergrad degree, my work experience, then which universities I had applied to. Then they'll be asking you sponsor. Now, sponsor or maybe the finances is the most crucial part for you in this particular process. They'll ask you about the sponsors. They'll ask you about they'll ask you that do you have enough funds to support you. See, you'll have options to work there during your graduation itself, in during your master's process itself, but you cannot tell that to the interview to the VO who is going to take your interview, that yes, I'll be working there. No, you do not say that, because what happens is you'll be taking up the jobs that the Americans will be doing. So it's always, it is necessary, it's not always, it is necessary to show enough funds for your 2 years program. Okay, it might happen that you might go to US for a single year, but mostly you have master's degree for 2 years, but there are few courses that only have a year of course. So they have to they'll make sure that you have enough funds to support your journey throughout this process. So that is that is why your finances hold a very crucial factor, not only because to understand if you afford it or no, but also to show your interviewer that yes, I would be able to finance myself enough, and I'll not be the burden, or maybe I'll not utilize this, or maybe I'll not take up jobs in US. So this is all about the visa. If you want some details, you can like at the end of the session, we can take up your questions in that case. And after my visa approval, I started looking out for housing options. I'll not say that I after my visa, but during all this process, like after my admit, like in the month of March, I got my admit, and I was doing this process, and by April, May, I started looking for housing options in United States. See, your parents might feel overwhelming that how will you do it? Like I'm yours, so I'll be helping you throughout. But what when you're going there in a very different country? It might happen that you all guys, the third year or fourth year students, are localites, like you have never been outside of your home, or maybe not even out of state, and then you're completely going out of country. So need not worry, there are a lot of people, a lot of students who take this opportunity, who take this calculated risk, go go in a different country, work everything out. So when you're checking out for housing options, I'll suggest you that talk to your seniors, start networking. Also, there are Facebook pages. Now, according to a university, there will be specific Facebook pages on there will be Facebook pages basically. So go and join those particular groups, join those particular pages, and then start asking like, do you have any accommodation and etc. Also make sure you don't fall into any fraud or something, so that you have to know. So if you talk to your seniors, they'll guide you through it. Okay, now they have been through this journey ahead of you, so they'll be good people, or maybe you can say they're the best people to talk to. understand how the housing options go there. Like unlike in India, like we have different options. Like you have Magic Bricks, you have OLX, or maybe Suleka.com, etc. To get this, these people have something different. Like these people have applications for a particular housing option. You have to first apply for that particular apartment. So you'll have to give all the details, and once your application is approved, they'll let you know if you are going to allot an apartment and etc. So I've just briefed you out about the housing options, but yes, talking to your seniors in that particular university will help you get through more details about the housing options. So when I say this, while doing all these things, I was making sure I was talking to my seniors. I was talking to my professors there. I didn't actually spoke to my professors, but yeah, I was actually understanding what my professors were, what exactly was their background. I spoke to few seniors there. I started networking basically, and then I also spoke to few of my friends who are in US right now, maybe who are working there, or maybe right now they're in the master's program or something like that. They've done the master's program. So I made sure that I started networking quite before, so that I could get uh, so that I could actually understand how exactly is this, how well before I should get prepared for all these things. So when you start networking, start connecting to seniors and etc., start researching and etc., you'll understand all about this. So although this seems, see, for you this is the first thing. I don't know how many people are aware of all these things, but this might feel very tiresome or maybe very rigorous process. But I will suggest you take that one step. Everything else will fall in place after you start working on it. So and then finally, with all these things, you can take off to your new exciting journey. So this is all about how I actually planned, how I executed everything, and so far this was my journey. Now I'll go with the resources part. So what actually I used throughout this process? See, internet, Google is always the best way for you to go, but apart from that, I'll tell you few resources I can say. Yocket is an app. You can download that particular app. So what is this Yocket app? I'll tell you. So here, a lot of people, a lot of students like us, they join this platform. They post their queries, they post their questions, they post their experiences and etc. in this particular applications. And then what happens is you'll have most of the databases according to the countries, according to the universities, what courses they're offering. Okay, so on this particular, explore this particular app, I can say. And then you can also connect to people through this app, through the seniors. Like this is what I actually helped. This particular app actually helped me to understand which universities I stand chance to. They'll tell you that how good your chances are to get into that university. So if your chance stand above 80%, you surely stand a chance to get an admit from that university. So roughly it will give you an idea. So apart from this helping you in shortlisting universities, you'll also be able to talk to your seniors, understand the profile. You'll understand what sort of universities did they apply to, which admits did they receive, what rejects did they got, which admits, which rejects they got into, and etc. So when you start exploring, you'll understand. I was not spoon fed. I also tell you that I did not spoon feed myself. There was no one. This was all the journey which was through my research, networking, talking to seniors, talking to professors, and etc. So do not hesitate to do any of this thing. Start talking to people, start exploring those things. No one is actually going to give you, Are, take this, and you have to do this, you have to do that. The more you start doing it on your own, the more is the easy process after you go and land in United States. Because in United States, a lot of things are different. Unlike India, like we have different arrangements here, but there you have different arrangements. So there you might not have your parents, your professors, maybe not here like you might not have the right environment here you had in the United States. Maybe you'll be alone doing all those things. So start this process beforehand, so that when you land in United States or any other country, it would not be difficult for you to juggle around those things. So do it on your own. I can say there are people who will support you, but do not rely completely on them. Start doing your own things. Start doing your own research, basically. Okay. Then Yocket app. Make sure to explore that app. Okay. Then YMGrad is a website. Basically, I'll tell you about this person. He is same. Like I think he might be 2018 or 19 pass out. So even younger to me. So this person, Yash Mitra, he started this particular, you can say, website as his project. Okay, so now he's earning in maybe I can say in lakhs. He's driving. So now he's an entrepreneur. Okay, he's driving this particular study abroad mission and helping a lot of you people. Yeah, definitely he charges you for its services, but yes, roughly you can give like free of on this particular Winegrad website. You will get fair chance like Yocket app. Yocket app. You it's not exactly as same as Yocket app, but yeah, the GUI or maybe it's the same platform. Winegrad. Then US News, I use US News to understand the rankings, what courses and etc. You can also take the subscription, student subscription, but I think it costs you around $30 or something like that. Just getting details about this if you wish to plan or maybe plan to get US News subscription. I will not suggest you to take a subscription. Just get a fair idea. You'll know the rankings and etc. Okay, and one thing you understand. So now I'll tell you, University of Maryland. Under University of Maryland, we have multiple schools. Now my course is telecom. I am into telecom engineering. So my school is A. James Clark School of Engineering. Now one of my friend is an MIS course, that is Management Information System. Now she is in Robert Smith Management School. So under this university, you'll be having a lot of schools. Okay, so make sure to understand under US News this particular engineering college had which ranking. Do not confuse yourself in that, like this university has so and so ranking. No, which particular school you're targeting and what rank that does that hold is the thing you have to look forward. So when you start exploring US News and etc., you'll understand all these things. And then I referred many YouTube channels. I just named few because these are the people like UDJ, Parth, Sajak. They are doing their masters. They're done with. They are done with their masters. So they tell you about their experience, their process, and etc. And Yash Mehta, what I said, I guess he was doing his master, but he came back to like be an entrepreneur in this case. But yeah, he's giving up his services. His services are paid actually, but other this and Yash Mehta videos are always there on YouTube, so that are free of cost actually for you to know, you can say, to watch. So you can take help of all this. You might know someone else. Maybe you might come across a different YouTube channel throughout this process. But since UDJ, Parth, Sajak, these are the people who are actually going through this process. These are the people like us actually in future for you. Okay, and then resources were also my seniors, my friends in my case. So I spoke to a lot of people, and then all these resources I used throughout my journey. Okay, so this was all about the resources which I used, and this is all about my, I can say, my presentation throughout. And
Yes.
so now any questions if you have, I would like to address them. And also I would say thank you throughout.
Yes, thank you very much, Pallavi, that you have thoroughly given the idea of your preparation of post-graduation, higher education in abroad,
Yeah.
right? And that is truly motivational that our students will get definitely benefited out of it. Yes, any students, if having doubt, you please share. Almost all things you have covered, Pallavi.
Okay, but still maybe students
Yes,
might.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
So I just don't want to keep any stone unturned. So yeah, students, just feel free to talk to me, and do not hesitate. I am just like you. I am not like maybe I might be older to you by 6 years, but do not hesitate. Feel free to ask me questions. So if anyone here with any questions. Okay, so even if you do not have any questions, you can talk to your professor, like Chagule ma'am or maybe someone else. You can shoot them your questions if you are hesitant to ask right now. Maybe I can address them afterwards, or you can also ping me on LinkedIn. My LinkedIn connection is Pallavi Sarvi. Oh, just search Pallavi Sarvi on LinkedIn. So this, I'm sure this students are aware about LinkedIn, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, so you can search me on LinkedIn. Maybe you can talk to me. You can talk to me on that particular platform, and I can be of great help in that
Yes,
case.
yes, definitely, Pallavi.
Yeah.
Sir, Pallavi Principal Sir is here with us.
Yes.
Sir, would you like to share your views?
Just to confirm, am I audible?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you for confirmation. No, Pallavi, you gave a very nice end-to-end information about everything.
Thank
I
you, sir.
joined slightly late in between because I was engaged in some other meeting. But since last 1 hour roughly, I am listening. And I also got something to know which is very important and hopefully that will help me in planning to help my own student for higher education. Right from academic profile, extracurricular profile, visa, identifying universities, optimum number of universities, then finding a home. So I think everything you touched upon, and I am certain that my students or your own former colleagues or our students in campus certainly would be benefited out of it. You have already shared your profile. Normally, students are slightly hesitant, or so nicely you have explained that they don't have any questions. In case if they have any questions, certainly they can get back and get in touch with you. I hope that such interaction will certainly help department students in planning in advance for their future. Sometimes what happens that uh, when you realize that you want to go for higher education, by that time many things are over, like academic profile,
Yeah.
publishing a good research paper, participating in extracurricular activities so that you can highlight to universities overseas that you are not only good at academics but also in your managerial skills. You can call it in different words, but that is what I typically understand. Managerial skills, your ability to get connected with people in terms of social activities, you are helping people or you are a helping person. So these things, if you realize yearly, maybe in second year, probably it gives you an idea that how over next 2 year he has to build profile which will help him in future. And I think this interaction certainly would be very helping our students in recognizing and accordingly planning for that future in case if they are planning to go overseas. There is a distinct difference between going for higher education in India and abroad. Here you appear for GATE examination. In 97, 98, I also appeared for GATE examination 2, 3 times successively. Uh, but when I went to IIT Kharagpur, nothing was interviewed. It is totally, and that we know here, the test procedure or the ability which they check and the ability which are checked being overseas are different. So realization of this, yearly realization of this in second and third year certainly would help a student in a big way in planning for that and accordingly building their profile so that that will help after they graduate, even if they go 2 year down the line after their graduation. So I congratulate department for taking this initiative and making students aware of all these things so early in their career. Not so early, I think it is right stage when they should be of all these things. Certainly, it is a very good initiative, and I congratulate department, especially head of department, Professor Dr. Sarda Chabule, madam. On behalf of Academy, I thank Pallavi Salvi for taking her time out and sharing her experience, and that too so nicely with our students, and offering her support all the time though, to those students who are planning to go abroad for study down the line. Thank you again. It was really very pleasant listening everything. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the opportunity,
Yes,
actually.
yes.
And my
Thank you, sir.
specials. Yeah.
Yes, and thank you, Pallavi. Any questions from students?
Yeah. I think they've asked me my LinkedIn ID. I've posted it in the chat box. So feel free to ask me any questions if you have.
Yes, Pallavi, we will be definitely in touch with you further also to get your experiences actually there,
Yeah,
right? And yes, wish you all the best, a good, bright future, right, from our side.
yeah, thank you so much.
Yes,
And I especially thank Chaugule ma'am and Girish sir because they have been great support throughout my application. So yeah, special thanks to both of you
yes,
actually.
yes, all the best. I think we will end the session here.
Sure.
Sahan sir?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am. So we'll stop here. If anyone wants to get connect with her, you can directly connect with her. Thank you for your time, and I'll thank all the participants also for listening patiently. Thank you all. So I will declare this session is over. Okay, at the end of this, I will share one feedback link. Kindly submit your feedback on that link. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.